I want you to listen to how Sidney Powell describes the relationship between Joe and Hunter. I think it's very colorful and very accurate, very sad, very sad that this would be this type of family dynamic. But if you know how the deep state works, how these people who enter into these contracts with the dark one on the dark side, you wouldn't be surprised. These people sell their souls and those of their children all the time for power and money.
Biden effectively pimped out his own son to China and Ukraine executives, company heads, whatever, to bring in money for the family. And the evidence is that Biden wanted 50% of it himself. Hunter wrote an email to his niece about that, or his daughter. And it's just absolutely appalling. The entire country should be outraged by this, because to be this close to an election and have a candidate so corrupted in so many ways, whether it's FARA violations, abject fraud, dishonest services, any number of crimes committed, RICO violations, it's hideous.
Did you catch that? Very, very important, very accurate imagery. That Joe was the padrote, was the one selling his own flesh and blood for power and money. Folks, this happens all the time. I live in Southern California, and if you live around here, my former neighbor across the street and 3 houses down, he was a child actor, grew up in Hollywood. If you're my age and I told you what show it was and who the character is, you'd be like, I totally watched that show as a kid. All right. And so I know him. We have another, honestly, they used to be friends of ours, but they're Holly weird and we've distanced ourselves from them. But they have straight up been offered children. These are things that they've told us. There's all kinds of shenanigans going on. And people want their children to be child stars and actors and actresses, and they are willing to offer up their child as an offering to the executives for fame and power. It is a very, very sad thing to see. So with that in mind, with the imagery that Sidney Powell gave us, and me giving you an example of what I've seen here in Southern California / Hollywood, listen to this revelation about what the police in Delaware said was on Hunter's laptop. This should make you sick, your stomach churn. Some of you, it should make you cry and throw up to think that if this is true, this is an allegation, this is an inside scoop. We don't have proof of it yet. But if this is true, this pretty much shows you that everything that we've been talking about on this channel for 3 or 4 years, that we don't always outright come and say, but it's very easy to interpret, that people in high places are not just pervy, but they, if they aren't diddlers themselves and aren't guilty of committing crimes against humanity themselves, many of them are actually offering up their own offspring for those that have that proclivity. I don't mean to speak cryptically, folks, but I think you understand what I'm saying, and you definitely will after I play this clip for you.
A very special guest on the line, Lauren Witzke. She is the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate in the great state of Delaware. That's ground zero. That's Joe Biden's home state. Lauren Witzke, thanks for joining us here on Breitbart News Saturday.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
First off, while I do seriously believe that there are problems, it's just, what do you think? Do you think we need to have some clear answers from law enforcement as to what's happening with regard to this situation?
My sources tell me, I'm here on the ground with them. and Attorney General Kathy Jennings, who is known for covering up for multiple, I think 7 different cases of sexual harassment. Like, she is no ally against sex crime victims. You know, she came and picked it up and took it back to the FBI. However, we have to keep in mind that the FBI held on to this information since December 9th of last year while our president was getting impeached for the same thing that the Bidens were guilty of. And my opponent, Chris Coons, he is the biggest ally of Vice President Joe Biden in the Senate. Everybody knows this. You know, he is his surrogate. He is his right-hand man. And he has remained absolutely complicit in the China-Biden blackmail scandal. Like, you know, Biden is compromised, and the American people need to know about it. The American people need to know that potentially in 10 days, we could have a president who is absolutely owned by China. And Senator Coons here in the state of Delaware is covering for him. He has done everything he can to cover for him. He has gone on the news and just said this is a blatant lie, when we, the people on the ground right here, see what's going on, and we know firsthand. You know, sources close to and deep that have deep knowledge in the investigation have also informed me that Chris Coons' daughter, in addition to 7 other underage girls, are also featured on the laptop.
Whoa, 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 what? Now, if you know what some of us know, this shouldn't come as a shock, but it's still disgusting. Think about it. Coons is a big supporter of Joe Biden. Are you starting to see that what we've been talking about for 4 years is absolutely true about the true pervy nature of these people in high places? That just like in Hollywood, Hollyweird, many of these people are willing to offer up their own for these sick people. I'm sure you've seen this picture. This is one of the pictures that we look at that just give us the heebie-jeebies. And there is Coons behind him, smiling as if nothing's going on. We see that his female offspring here is very uncomfortable. This is in 2015. And she was 13 at the time. She should be about adult age now. And supposedly on that laptop is her and 7 other minors, female minors. Do you understand, folks, when I say that these are devious, devilish, demonically possessed people? I don't mean that in the the Hollywood sense of head spinning and pea soup being thrown up. I'm talking about in the sense that these people, their depravity knows no bounds, and what they're willing to do to stay and be in power is unfathomable to the average non-sociopath. They will make pacts. They will join clubs. They will make secret agreements within themselves and other people to follow the instructions of the enemy of all of us that's been there since the very beginning. And part of these rituals involve crimes against humanity. And they are sitting in the centers of power, not just globally and other places, but right here in the good old U.S. of A. And they are everywhere. In government, in politics, in the FBI, in the DOJ, in the district's attorney's offices throughout the nation. And what they do is they collude together and they cover for each other's crimes. It's one big club, and they protect those within it. And now you wonder, now you should no longer be wondering why nothing is being done.
So of course they're all going to work together to cover this as quickly as they can. There's going to be hardly any accountability, I think, to a degree, especially here in the state of Delaware. So I would encourage the FBI to move quickly. I encourage them to get this information out to the American people so we know when we go to the ballot box on November 3rd who exactly we are voting for.
We've got about 2 minutes left. Mayor, we got 2 minutes left. You left that on Monday because you went down immediately, like you said you had to. You went Monday. They said the Attorney General, completely owned by Biden, turned it over to the FBI, probably Monday. That's when they told the Delaware paper. In a minute, where do you think this thing stands, and how could it just be sitting in the memory hole of the FBI?
Well, the FBI then announced for the first time in a year of having this that, in fact, the hard drive is accurate, and they're using it for a money laundering investigation, which, of course, could take 3 years. I mean, I don't trust that either. They now acknowledge that they have it. But they've had it for a year and done nothing to protect these kids or to pursue the very serious allegations of crime about Joe Biden. And they say it's a money laundering allegation. Well, they take 3 years for a money laundering allegation. And it's really shocking that I've got to be the one that kicks them in the backside and they finally acknowledge that they have it. But they've taken no action, as far as I know, to investigate the allegations against the kid or the other allegations about Biden, which are current, like his partnership with the Chinese communists. I mean, we're going to put a guy in the White House that's a partner with the Chinese communists? Are we out of our minds? And our FBI is going to be responsible for having had that for 10 months and never investigating it? And by the way, it's true. It's true. They can call me all the names they want. It's true.
It is true. Think of all the evidence and proof we have in the public sphere. That is open source. That is readily available for us to look at, scrutinize, read, and see for ourselves. Yet nothing is being done. This two-tier tyranny has to stop. And I honestly believe that perhaps there only is one individual that can actually do something about it, that is actually willing to do something about it. But it probably can't do that until after November 4th or perhaps till after January 20th.